Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch one of our quick help videos. Prior to watching this video, it is very important that you watch the Import Utilities overview video first. As mentioned in the overview video, it is very important to make a backup of the database prior to performing any imports of data. Please refer to the video on performing a CA4K backup. In addition to the video, it is very important to also refer to the CA4K help file for additional information on the template and data types. Again, it is very important to refer to the CA4K help file for complete details of all fields. The topic for this utility is under Reports in the CA4K help file. In this video, we will be providing detailed information on the Import Personnel utility. This utility can be found under Reports. This utility was also in the Card Access 3000 software, but contained less fields. The utility we will be discussing is in version 1.1.x and contains 132 fields. Earlier versions of the Import Personnel utility contains less fields, and you must refer to the template for the specific version you are using. Unlike the Card Access Data Pump utility, this utility is not real-time and must be launched manually. The Import Personnel utility is the most difficult to work with. This is because it contains 132 fields. The Import Personnel utility also contains a template, much like the Card Access Data Pump utility. Here is one bit of good news regarding the 132 fields. If you are not using all the fields, you only have to specify up to the field you are using in the import data file. For example, if you are only using fields in positions 1 through 21, you only have to specify 21 fields in the import data file. This makes things a lot easier. Next, displaying on the screen is information regarding the Import Personnel utility data types. The most common data type is the Boolean type. This is either a 0 or a 1 and can also be true or false. Another common data type is the date-time field. Both types are referenced on the screen. Next, we will review the template for the Import Personnel utility. The template can be found under the Card Access 4K folder in the Help folder. The name of the template is Import Personnel Template.txt. On the screen is the template. As previously mentioned, the template contains 132 fields. One suggestion is to break the template up into 13 lines with 10 fields on each line. This will make it much easier to read. Next, let's discuss the field separator character. By default, the field separator character, also known as the delimiter, is a comma. This can be changed in the utility. Next are a few examples of import files and their syntax. Reminder: the import data file must not contain any field headings or undesirable characters. The first line in the file must be the first record to import. Next, let's discuss the first 4 fields. The first 4 fields are required fields. The first 4 fields are the facility, badge number, last name, and first name. Failure to have these 4 fields will result in an error message. Index is out of bounds. Next on the screen is a sample import data file that contains 1 record. Take note there is not a comma after the last field. Much like the Data Pump utility, you must press the Enter key at the end of the record. Upon importing the file, a message box will display. Total badges imported equals 1. The message also contains the path to the log file in the Reports folder. Next on the screen is the log file created. At the beginning of the log file, it will display a Start Importing message, followed by the template for this utility. After the 132 field template, a few more lines of information will display. Please pay close attention to any error messages that displays. Next on the screen is an example of an import data file that is only using the first 21 fields. Again, you only have to specify up to the last field you are importing out of the 132 fields. The last field we are specifying is the PIN code field. The PIN code field is field number 21. In this example, only Access Group 1 and Access Group 2 are specified. So both Access Group 1 and Access Group 2 must be configured in the CA4K software. Upon importing the file, a message box will display. Total badges imported equals 1. Next on the screen is the log file created. At the beginning of the log file, it will display a Start Importing message, followed by the template for this utility. After the 132 field template, a few more lines will display with the actual data that was imported. Again, the last field was a 4-digit PIN code. Next, we will perform a demonstration of an import. Reminder: prior to importing a file with many records, it is always recommended to create a small test file to import. Next, launch the CA4K software. Log into the CA4K software. Next, click Reports on the main toolbar and then click Import Personnel in the report list. For our demonstration, we will use the default comma as the field separator character. Next, click the Browse button and browse to the Import Data file and select it. Next, click the Execute button. Upon a successful import, a message box will display Total badges imported equals 3. Click OK. Next, always view the log file in the CA4K Reports folder for any errors. Verify it displays imported successfully. Take a very close look at the log file and verify there are no error messages. Next, always launch Personnel and verify the badge records was added properly. For this demonstration, we imported badges 33,200, 33,201, and 33,202. Take note that we did not specify the fields for Enabled, Stay on Panel, and Initial Download in the import data file. In almost all cases, you should have these set to 1 in the import file. One important final note is to remember to configure the items in CA4K if you are going to import the values for them. This includes access groups, custom fields, department, and others. This concludes this quick help video on the Import Personnel import utility in the CA4K software. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.